Bro, wait, look at this. A single red hair left on a floor. It seems like nothing, right? But who really left this here? Because I'm telling you, this single tiny detail, it completely flipped the entire story upside down. In this episode, we just witnessed the absolute pinnacle of the series so far. We saw the exact, definitive moment Ayanokoji decided to completely discard his entire underlying philosophy. We are talking about a fundamental, ground-up shift from a passive, blend-into-the-background character into an active, lethal threat. But to understand why this happened, we need to go back. We need to trace the hidden psychological warfare that literally backed him into this corner. Because here's the thing, the White Room assassin is already making their move, and most people didn't even realize how incredibly deep this infiltration has gone. Okay, let's just dive straight into this breakdown, because the sheer level of mind games happening in the background right now is absolutely insane, and it changes how we have to look at the rest of the season.
Okay, but seriously, we have to talk about this specific scene first, because it is literally keeping me up at 2 a.m. Put yourself in Ayanokoji's shoes for a second here. You're just casually studying in your dorm with your junior, Nana say, and suddenly, boom, you find a massively long, bright red hair right in the middle of your floor. Now ask yourself this, why did Ichika Amasawa purposely leave that there? Because let's be real, this wasn't some clumsy accident, no way. This was a calculated, precision strike. Amasawa didn't just casually lose a hair tie and stumble into his room looking for it while Ki happened to be there. She planted that hair way earlier. She knew exactly what kind of chaotic, purely jealous reaction it would trigger. She intentionally set up this incredibly tense psychological scenario to force Ayanokoji into a corner, just to see how he, and honestly, more importantly, the people he actually cares about, would react to the suffocating pressure of a closed-room mystery.
And this, right here, brilliantly illustrates the tactical, cold-blooded brilliance of the White Room threat right now. Amasawa literally crashes the room. Zero hesitation, and she immediately starts scrutinizing the dynamic between Ayanokoji and Ki. And the sheer disrespect of this girl looking Ki dead in the eyes and claiming Ayanokoji as her personal chef just because he cooked for her that one time, it's wild. It is a massive, blatant power play. She is purposely trying to trigger Ki's jealousy to test the actual limits of the relationship. Think about it. She is gathering high-level intel on what Ayanokoji values, who he instinctively protects, and exactly how he operates inside his own private sanctuary. Amasawa is actively marking her territory. She's letting him know that his personal space, yeah, it's no longer safe. She is boldly poking the bear right in the face to see exactly when and how it bites.
But while Ayanokoji's private life was getting entirely invaded, the class-wide stakes are rising unbelievably fast. You really need to notice the complete contrast in leadership we are seeing right now between the different classes. On one side, we have the first-year tyrant, Hosen. This guy isn't just trying to extract points, he is purposely keeping low academic students hostage without partners so he can rule them with an absolute iron fist. I mean, if you fail the test, you face a massive financial penalty, and Hosen is actively using that sheer terror to control his class like a literal dictator. Then on the flip side, we have Horikita. She is desperately trying to build genuine alliances based on mutual trust. She recognizes that these transactional, fear-based relationships are totally going to crumble eventually, so she wants a fair, actual negotiation. But dealing with a guy who literally threatens to kill you on a phone call, that requires an entirely different level of strategy, and Horikita is walking straight into the fire.
And this is exactly where the background clues start piling up. And if you caught this while watching, you should feel incredibly smart. Ki reports back to Ayanokoji with the results of a secret investigation she was running. The store clerk actually confirmed that a first-year student tried to buy a knife. A knife? But before they could leave the store with it, an unknown girl intervened, talked to the student, and forced them to return it to the shelf. This entirely disrupts whatever violent, underhanded scheme was being plotted with that weapon in the first place. It's a massive, crucial piece of the puzzle that completely reframes the sheer danger lurking in the shadows of this school. I mean, a knife isn't about scoring points on an exam. A knife means someone was actively premeditating a physical attack or an expulsion through framing. The game has entirely changed.
So let's connect the dots here, because this is the hidden detail that brings everything in this episode crashing together. The clerk specifically noted that the unknown girl who forced the knife return had red hair, the exact same red hair that Amasawa conveniently left sitting on Ayanokoji's floor. The dots are connecting, bro. This definitively proves that the White Room threat, or at least a highly dangerous wildcard acting like one, is already manipulating the most violent elements of the school entirely behind the scenes. And worse, they've already infiltrated Ayanokoji's personal space. This isn't some distant, hypothetical threat anymore. The person pulling the strings, the one controlling the life or death stakes of this exam, is the exact same person sitting on his couch, casually asking for a hair tie and smiling directly at his girlfriend.
Section 1. Emotional Toll. What Hiding the Truth Costs, Class D. The crucial point we have to look at here is that all these hidden agendas and massive secret alliances are starting to take a devastating emotional toll on our characters. We are shifting right out of the cold, calculated mystery of the White Room directly into the beating, vulnerable heart of Class D's relationships. Because let's be real, surviving in this cutthroat school isn't just about outsmarting your opponent anymore. It's about the heavy, exhausting emotional cost of hiding your true feelings day in and day out. The tension in the air is reaching an absolute boiling point, and the characters can no longer maintain their perfectly crafted masks without something fundamentally shattering.
Which brings us to one of the most tense and emotionally raw moments we have ever seen from the supporting cast. Sato completely corners Ki and just drops the absolute heaviest question. Are you and Ayanokoji going out? You really have to look at what Ki wants others to think versus what she actually feels deep down inside. For her entire time at this school, she has spent every waking second projecting this perfectly curated, untouchable popular girl image purely to protect herself from her own past trauma. But internally, she has this profound, complex dependency and genuine affection for Ayanokoji. And Sato, who genuinely liked Ayanokoji and was utterly heartbroken when he rejected her, feels entirely betrayed. She realizes Ki has been hiding this massive secret while pretending to be her best friend. Ki's fear of losing her social standing is now going head-to-head with her genuine, authentic feelings.
And how does Ki respond to this? She doesn't deflect, she doesn't spin some elaborate lie to save face. She completely owns it. And low-key, this moment is absolutely beautiful. When Sato slaps her, Ki just accepts it. She takes the physical hit because she knows, deep down, she deserves the emotional hit. By accepting that slap, Ki is making an active, incredibly brave conscious choice to finally stop hiding her true feelings. She tells Sato the absolute truth, that she didn't mean to fall in love, but she did anyway. This is a massive, monumental evolution for Ki as a character. She is accepting the heavy emotional cost of her secret relationship, and in doing so, she's closing the rift between them by finally being vulnerable and honest. She is completely done running from her reality, proving her incredible internal strength.
Okay, but speaking of massive character evolutions, we absolutely have to hype up my boy Pseudo right now. I mean, think back to Season 1 Pseudo, the hot-headed, incredibly defensive problem child who was constantly, and I mean constantly, milliseconds away from getting the entire class expelled just because he couldn't control his temper. Now look at him. Look at this guy. He's sitting here casually projecting a 400-point academic score and proudly declaring, "I refuse to be a liability anymore." He fully, maturely recognizes the immense trouble and stress he caused everyone in the past, and he is actively putting in the grueling, unglamorous, behind-the-scenes work to fix it. This isn't just a slight improvement to pass a random test. This is a foundational, core transformation of his entire character and his role within Class D.
Now, what is really fascinating here is the emotional landing of Pseudo's realization. Ayanokoji intentionally tests him, asking the hard question. What happens if Horikita never actually returns his romantic feelings, like ever? Will he just give up? Will he hate studying again and revert back to his old ways? Pseudo's answer is profound. He admits he'd want to die and probably punch a hole in a wall, but he absolutely wouldn't quit. Why? Because quitting would just be letting her and the entire class down. He is no longer improving purely for the transactional hope of getting her affection. He is doing it to earn the class's trust and to actually become a reliable pillar for their collective future. Bro is finally cooking. He has found true intrinsic motivation, and it is honestly incredible to witness his journey from a total liability to a genuine leader.
Meanwhile, in the background of all this emotional growth, Ayanokoji is out here casually dropping nuclear intel like it's absolutely nothing. He explains the concept of protection points to Nanase. If you forgot, this is a purchasable privilege that can literally negate an expulsion. This serves as a massive stakes reminder for us as the audience. Remember, expulsion is the ultimate execution in this school. It is the end of the line. And Ayanokoji just casually reveals this massive, game-changing safety net to a first year as a simple thank you for her help. But okay, knowing Ayanokoji, he doesn't give away high-level information for free. Never. He is intentionally planting seeds. He's testing how much Nanase actually knows about the school's hidden mechanics, and he is meticulously positioning his chess pieces for the inevitable war that is coming straight to his front door.
Section 2. The moment that changed everything. No more holding back. Okay, let's dive into this next part because everything we've talked about so far, the terrifying White Room infiltration, the rising class tensions, the heavy emotional shifts, it all builds to this singular, defining confrontation. The tension is at an absolute suffocating peak. Sakayanagi, the smug, brilliant mastermind of Class A, approaches Ayanokoji. She knows there is a massive bounty on his head, she knows a literal assassin has been sent to have him expelled, and she confidently, almost playfully, offers her protection to him. And Ayanokoji's response? It is absolute cinema. I am not exaggerating when I say this is the most cold, calculated, and terrifying thing he has said in the entire series so far. He looks at her and flat out says, "My old approach won't work. I'm discarding it. I won't be holding back anymore." Boom. This is it. This is the exact moment that changes the entire trajectory of the story forever. For the entire duration of this show, Ayanokoji's central philosophy has been to blend into the background, to be perfectly, remarkably average, to manipulate from the shadows and avoid the spotlight at all costs. But the White Room assassin has pushed the threat level so incredibly high that his old camouflage is completely useless now. The invisible strings aren't enough anymore. He is intentionally throwing away his entire blend-in strategy so he can face this threat head-on. And this brilliantly illustrates why this shift matters so profoundly. Ayanokoji outright rejects Sakayanagi's offer of protection. He fully acknowledges her immense abilities, sure, but he tells her, "I'll decide my destiny for myself." He isn't just trying to silently survive the White Room assassin anymore. He is actively declaring war. He is stepping completely out of the shadows and taking the driver's seat. He is looking at the most powerful student in their entire year and telling her to step aside and watch him work. He is no longer the prey trying to hide in the tall grass. He has decided to become the apex predator once again, and this fundamentally changes how every single other character in this school is going to have to interact with him moving forward. He is unchained. But even as he completely drops his restraints, the walls are rapidly closing in around Class D. The urgency is skyrocketing by the literal second. Over 105 pairs have already been formed for the special exam. That's nearly 70% of the entire student body locked in. The pool of safe, reliable partners is vanishing right before their eyes. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, first years Tsubaki and Utamiya randomly approach Ayanokoji, heavily probing him to partner up. This screams of a highly coordinated setup from the shadows, right? And on top of all that pressure, the Sunday meeting with the tyrant Hosen is finally locked in. The net is physically tightening, and time is entirely running out to secure the safety of the class from a massive wave of expulsions.
All of this rapidly escalates into our final sequence. Horikita, Sudo, and Ayanokoji walk right into what is clearly a highly hostile, incredibly dangerous situation. You can literally feel the heavy emotional weight and the sheer danger of this encounter right through the screen. Horikita actually has to warn Sudo not to do anything rash before they even arrive. Why? Because they are walking into a negotiation with a guy who uses sheer fear, intimidation, and physical violence as his primary currency. They are approaching Hosen and Nanase, knowing full well that they are at a massive disadvantage and that Hosen has absolutely zero intention of playing fair or making this easy for them.
Which leaves us staring down the barrel of an incredible, terrifying, unresolved thread for the next episode. We know Hosen thinks he is the biggest, baddest threat in the entire school. He truly thinks he holds all the cards right now. But what happens when Hosen, a guy relying purely on brute force and intimidation, finally realizes that the quiet, average background student standing silently in front of him has just decided to stop holding back? The collision course between Hosen's outward aggression and Ayanokoji's newfound unfiltered lethality is going to be explosive. The stakes have absolutely never been higher. Drop your theories below, subscribe to Zero Anime, and I'll see you in the next one.